the Nike Zoom Freak 3 or the Jordan Why Not 0.4. Mabuhay everyone, MARKCHES here. Welcome to the channel, and today we are going to compare the Freak 3s versus the Jordan Why Not 0.4. If you are not familiar, this is Russell Westbrook's signature sneaker, the latest one, which is part of the Los Angeles Lakers. So pretty excited for this upcoming season. Hopefully they can mesh early and give the Lakers another championship. And as for the pair in my right is the Freak 3, the current reigning champs signature sneaker, Giannis Antetokounmpo's signature sneaker, the latest one. And this is actually relatively new compared to the Why Not 0.4. The Why Not 0.4 was released, I think, early this year, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a new one, but this is quite still new because the Why Not 0.5 hasn't been released yet. I think it will be released next year, in the early parts of next year. So if you haven't watched my performance review of these two sneakers, I'll be putting the link up here so you can watch the full detailed performance review of each of these. So comparing these two sneakers, both are built for very powerful players. This is made for a very powerful and strong guard, which is Russell Westbrook, while the Giannis Freak 3, of the Zoom Freak 3 rather, is of course made for Giannis, who is really like a center, but he plays like a guard. So both sneakers are built for very strong and powerful players. So let's compare first the uppers of these two. The first thing that you will notice between the uppers of these two is the softness of the material. The Freak 3's upper is mainly made out of this synthetic mesh upper, and it is net-like, and it is really soft. Even right out of the box, it is really soft. And comparing it to the upper or the mesh part of the Jordan Why Not 0.4, it is also net, but it is made out of thicker mesh, or it has a thicker underlying material. You can see the upper is really structured. On the lateral side, you can see this jersey-like mesh, which has an underlining fabric which is fused together, making the material really thick. While on the medial part of the sneaker, where you can see the underlying material, which is I think white, and this is their regular mesh upper, and also fused. So both sneakers are very well structured. Like I said, the main difference that you can see right off the box is the softness of the material. Look how soft the Giannis or the Zoom Freak 3s are compared to the uppers of the Why Not. But in terms of comfort, this is a little bit more comfortable if you're looking for more softness of material. But on the Why Not, it ain't that bad either. It has a very comfortable underlying material, so it's very comfortable around your foot. But if you're looking for softness, of course the Freak 3 will give you that. But what's nice about the upper of the Why Not is I think it will be more durable, especially around the toe area compared to the Freak 3s, which is a lot thinner. It has a very thin fuse here on the Freak 3s compared to the harder fusing that you can find on the toe area of the Why Nots. Next thing that I really noticed about the difference between these two sneakers is of course the extra support that you'll be getting on the Why Nots. As you can see, this wing part or the first lace loop, it acts as wing. So when you are tightening up this lace or pulling this lace, it really hugs your foot well from the lower part of your foot. So this panel hugs and tightens, so it hugs your foot more compared to the Freak 3s, which has a traditional lacing system. But this synthetic leather also kind of hugs your foot, but more around the midfoot part of the sneaker rather than here in between the forefoot and midfoot part, where the end of the bones of your toes are. As you can see in the lateral part, the leather doesn't come down, so it doesn't really wrap or hug your foot that much compared to the Why Nots. But the Freak 3 is still very supportive laterally, don't get me wrong with that. But if you want that extra hug or support around the forefoot part of the sneaker, you will like the Why Not 0.4 more. The strap of the Freak 3s is made mainly out of aesthetics. It will give you a little bit of support, but not as supportive as the ones on the forefoot part of the Why Not 0.4. They both have the additional lacing system, and the thongs on both sneakers are very well padded. They're very comfortable, so not much difference there. And as for the height of the last lace loop, they're pretty much equal. they're kind of a mid-low sneaker. And on the collar, they're pretty much on the same height. Even on the back part, the back part is similar in height, but the main difference is, of course, this has a cutout for your ankle to move more compared to the Y knots. But the Y knots, it's curved out more like an elf shoe, so it gives a little bit more room for your ankle to move to. So in that aspect, while I was wearing these two sneakers, I didn't feel that much of a difference in terms of ankle mobility. As for the padding around the Achilles part, the Y knots has a little bit more padding, but on the Freak 3 is still very comfortable. So you won't get wrong with these two paddings. Achilles pillows are really well padded, but if you want thicker paddings around your ankle, if your ankles are really slim and you don't have thick ankles, you would like the Y knots fit more compared to the Freak 3s. But if you have wider or thicker ankles, you will like the Freak 3s more. Heel containment, lockdown, both are very good in these two sneakers. I would say both are at par, not much difference in that aspect. Now let's go to the midsole part of the sneaker. Both have Phylon carrier cushion. In the Y knots, you have double stack zoom units in the forefoot, while on the Zoom Freak 2, it has two zoom pods, which is found in the ball of your foot and is really large. So in terms of bounciness around the forefoot, I would say after breaking them in, both of the sneakers, you will feel the bounciness around the forefoot part. As for the thickness of the Zoom and Phylon on the forefoot part of the sneaker, so it's a little bit thicker on the Giannis compared to the Y knots. So surprisingly, the Y knots is a little bit lower to the ground compared to the Giannis or the Zoom Freak 3. But in terms of bounciness, I would say they're pretty much equal. And your preference where you want that bounciness to be felt, if you want to feel it more around the ball of your foot, you would like the Freak 3s better because one of the zoom pods is directly below the ball of your foot. But if you want the feel of the zoom to be on the entire part of your forefoot, you would like the Y knots more because this is the shape of the zoom unit on the Y knots. So you step it evenly, and it's not just on the ball of your foot, but around the pad of their forefoot, if you get what I mean. So this is the whole pad of your forefoot. Imagine this is your feet or your foot. So the Y knots, it covers the center part, while on the Zoom Freak 3, it covers more here and also on the lateral part of the ball of your foot. So it really depends on your preference. Both have very bouncy forefoot, but the thing to consider is the Y knots. If you want it closer to the ground, you would like the Y knots better compared to the Freak 3. But the Freak 3 ain't that high. But comparing it to the Y knots, it's a little bit more thicker compared to the Y knots. And moving on to the back part of the sneaker. So like I said in the Y knots, the Phylon is a little bit thinner compared to the Freak 3s. So impact protection on the Y knots still good, but on the Freak 3, it has more compression around the heel. So there's more impact protection on the Freak 3s compared to the Y knots. Another thing that this two Phylon carrier does is gives you extra lateral support. As you can see on the Freak 3s, it goes up and kind of cradles your foot a little bit, especially around the midfoot part where you can see this plastic piece going up and it really catches your foot. So it cradles your foot well and contains your foot to the footbed and gives you extra lateral support. And even on the medial side of the Freak 3, it also goes up. So it acts as heel containment to the sneaker and really cages your foot to the footbed. So it gives you a very nice fit to the sneaker. While on the Y knots, it also gives you that. It doesn't go up as high compared to the Freak 3s. It still goes up and cradles your foot with the right amount. So your foot is sitting here. So this kind of cups your heel and even on the forefoot part of the sneaker. Now let's move on to the traction of these two sneakers. On the Y knots, it has this like speckled pattern compared to the Giannis, which has a spiral pattern for the traction. So the main difference between the traction are the threads of the traction. The Freak 3's rubber compound in the traction is a little bit more pliable, or it flexes more compared to the Y knot 0.4. It is snubs, but it is harder, and mainly because my Y knots is a PF version or the EP version in terms of Nike. It has this XVR tag that came with it, which is absent in my MARKCHES. This is not EP version. I'm not sure if the black and white colorway has XDR rubber, but comparing it right now, the YNOT 0.4 is better in terms of durability. So outdoor use, a little bit better on the YNOTs because on how thin the rubber compound on the Freak 3s are. But I still think you can still play with this outdoors because the spiral pattern are continuous. So I think it won't rip easily and it's kind of deep. And as for the traction, on a clean court, both are amazing. Even on a semi-dusty floor, they still grip well, they squeak a lot. And if I were to choose which traction is better, a little bit of advantage on the Freak 3 in terms of indoor use because it grips a little bit harder compared to the YNOTs. Although the YNOTs traction still pretty good, but in terms of that bite, that hard bite to the floor, the Freak 3s will give you that. But if you are playing more outdoors, of course, this PF version or the extra durable rubber found in the YNOTs is better in terms of outdoor use. And as for the heel-to-toe transition, both have the coupled outsole and they have a very nice heel-to-toe transition. But I would give heel-to-toe transition a little bit more on the YNOTs because you can really feel the sneaker really like propelling you forward because of the shape. It's really curved up, especially around the forefoot part compared to the Freak 3s. If you can see the shape of the YNOT, it really goes up. So it gives you a very nice heel-to-toe transition. But in terms of lateral movements, if you want more lateral stability, I would give that to the Freak 3s because of how wide the forefoot part of the Freak 3s here in the lateral side. And if you put them together, you can see how wide the Freak 3s are. This part really protrudes out and gives you that stability that you need. But if you are more running up and down the floor like Russell Westbrook and you want your outsole to have a little bit more curve, and if you're like doing lots of crossovers, the YNOT 0.4 is better because it has a better transition, especially when you're doing crossovers. As for the sizing of these two sneakers, both sneakers true to size if you're a regular footer and half size up if you're a wide footer. For wide footer friendlier sneaker, I think both are very wide footer friendly. They both have enough forefoot space around the toe area of the sneaker. As for the price point, SRP 6,900 pesos. This one's 6,800 pesos. But some colorways of the YNOT 0.4 are already on sale because this came out earlier this year compared to the newer Freak 3s. So if you're more on a budget, if you want more court feel, more responsiveness, plus the upper is more durable. At the same time, you want to use the sneaker more for outdoor use, go for this YNOT 0.4. But if you are playing more indoors and you want more stability around the forefoot and more cushion and impact protection around the heel part of the sneaker and a very hard bite traction, the Freak 3 will give you that. So these two sneakers are very good in terms of performance. It really depends on your preference. For these two, they're pretty much close to each other. It really depends on your playstyle or where you will use the sneaker. So I hope I helped you guys out once again in choosing between the YNOT 0.4 or the Zoom Freak 3. Let me know which sneaker you would choose down in the comments below. This has been MARKCHES. Once again, thank you for dropping by. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.